Well, let's get across what happened on markets overnight and what may impact our local market open with Peter McGuire, CEO of Trading.com. Happy Friday to you, Peter. Look, the U.S. markets kind of ran out of puff through the overnight period.
Sure. Well, good morning, Nadine. Yeah, happy Friday. Look, yes, they did run out of puff, but they didn't run out of puff by too much. When you're considering the Dow was only down 3/100ths of a percent, I'm not really too fussed about that. And the S&P down 0.22, Nasdaq down 1/3%. You had a nice rally the previous trading session. So as you know, it's those little bumps up, and then we have a bump down, and we're just in a little bit of a consolidation phase at the moment. It's one to certainly be mindful of, and how we roll that into Australian trade today in Asia. That'll be an interesting look through. China's had a nice run up. Some of those markets are performing quite well. So, keep your very much eyes on the screen and hands on the wheel.
Yeah, hands on the wheel. We've got, though, an underlying sort of defensive nature. Would you agree? Because we have seen, the US dollar index overnight gaining ground. The Aussie dollar just trading at about 63 US cents.
Yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about what we've seen, Nadine, over the last couple of weeks has been absolutely mind-blowing, that US dollar sell-off. Euro was touching nearly that 110 handle. It's given it back a little bit, but remember where it stood. We were nearly at a parity as far as that that Euro US dollar, and it's just had a dramatic run up. So is the pound and so is the yen. So there have been the trades to be very much a part of over the last month or so. US dollar sell-off. Bond yields sitting that, I'm just looking at a 4.24 for the 10-year. So that's still a little bit choppy, but the overall theme as far as US dollar index back at 103.81, but still under that psychological barrier, Nadine, of 104. So let's again see what happens. I don't see any, possibility in the short run as far as a rate cut. So let's just see again where that US dollar trends.
Peter, look, crude. You couldn't look past crude overnight, rising on, further tensions between the U.S. and Iran. What do you make of that development?
Well, Nadine, it's an ongoing saga, and I think it's going to only possibly move up a gear. And that's going to be fascinating how that all plays out from a geopolitical stance. It's back at 72.25 for Brent. You've got WTI at 68.25. It's up. And there is every possibility that if President Trump, and you've heard his rhetoric, I don't have to repeat it, it is game on. And he is very, very adamant about what he's prepared to do. You've got civil unrest in Iran. You've got many claiming they want to see a return of the Pahlavi, which is 1979. So that whole framework is going to be interesting how it unpacks. And again, we're entering that hotter period of the year. And whenever there's geopolitical tensions, it seems to rise with the weather. So we're at the start of spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and I'm expecting there to be a bumpy ride over spring and summer for crude.
Yeah, okay. Now, when it comes to gold, obviously we saw that reset of the record high in the wake of the U.S. Fed's decision and the meeting and the rhetoric around the economy, et cetera. But it did come off slightly. Silver as well, but that would just be profit taking. Is the overall trajectory for gold and precious metals higher?
I think so, Nadine. I mean, I've looked at many analysts' expectations, and the biggest banks in the world. I've looked at forums that they've posted. Many are saying 3,000. We're at 3,050 at the moment, or 3,043. It's given up a little bit from that 3,060. So Macquarie came out at 3,500. A number of them came out higher. One particular group was at 4,000. I feel as though that all of those are very achievable. We've still got, a large percentage of 25 to play out. We're thinking as far as the US administration, what President Trump's prepared to do as far as gold, and of course the uncertainty that again creates. Silver is I think the little shiner that's really going to blast off. And the reason for it is because of underinvestment in that whole sector over the last couple of decades. Silver is the place to be, and everyone is saying that, at $34, $35 US an ounce, it's got plenty of upside. And some of the numbers that I'm hearing, I'm not going to repeat them here, Nadine, but it is astronomical what they're expecting silver to go to.
Well, we will be watching that with much interest. We've been talking to a lot of guests about it as well. So, Peter, today it will be another case of follow the leader for the local market, only this time down, at least at the open here locally.
Yeah, I think so, Nadine. Look, you may have a little bit of a pullback. I'm not expecting it to be, have a push up of 1% or 2%. I think it's just going to be one of those days. If you're looking at trading, be very mindful of it. Look for the opportunities. You might see little, technical indicators that show that there's a bit of an uplift at the open, or at 11:30 or whatever, or a pullback. So traders, that's what they're after. If you're trading for a short-term perspective, then be very conscious as far as your indicators and what that demonstrates to you, and then you press the button and off you go.